Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ringside Ramble podcast. I'm Derek.
And I'm Cole.
And so a little bit of an interesting situation. Last time we recorded, I had said, well, we're doing it tomorrow. But both me and Cole are extremely busy with college and work and just life in general. So that unfortunately did not go as planned, but nevertheless, we are here. So
Absolutely. And we're here to give you a absolutely fantastic rundown of the 2021 AEW All Out pay-per-view. It was an absolute just wow performance. And we also had some interesting entrances that is. And also we're going to get into a one CM Punk a little later in the podcast, so stick around.
yes. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and kick this off here with All Out. Great pay-per-view. Before we get into it as a whole, great pay-per-view. I think this is probably the best pay-per-view I've seen. It's the best one I've seen from AEW. Now I've purchased two of their pay-per-views, so don't judge me off of that. Um, but overall, I would say probably a 4.5 out of 5 in my opinion. And I'm pretty, you know me, Cole. I'm not just gonna give you that. So
Yeah, it was definitely given what AEW been putting out, is one of those situations where the practices, which in my book, the practices will be like their regular TV.
mhm.
The practices usually aren't going too well, but when they break out the pay-per-views, it's a whole different ball game.
Indeed. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this here. Just right off the bat, I'm just gonna say it. I missed a couple of these matches because I was hungry and I had it up on my phone as I was driving, so I half paid attention to some of these. And I'll say that beforehand. I completely missed the Jurassic Express and Best Friends versus the Hardy Family Office. So, um, the Hardy Family Office, as they're called, ended up winning. I don't want to say much about this because I didn't watch it. But nevertheless, that was the result. Um, On to the next. I did catch bits and pieces of this match, the AEW TNT Championship match between Miro and Eddie Kingston. Cole, what I saw, I thought was pretty good. I love how this new version of Miro, some of you might remember him as Rusev. It seems like they're finally using him right, which I think that was kind of our thing is you can get all these guys, but you got to use them right. He makes the championship feel like a big deal. I like the new, with it being Wight versus some of the other variations of it. Basically just with this match, pretty good back and forth overall. Had some referee stuff. That's how the finish happened. Uh, with the turnbuckle pad, and then the ref was distracted. Miro hit the low blow. Long story short, that's what ended up ending the match. So Miro defeats Eddie Kingston to retain the championship. You got anything on this?
Uh, Not much, but I do agree with you on the point that it is about time that they start using Miro more to his ability. Because we saw what was going on in WWE with the character of Rusev, and just a mid card kind of guy that just weren't doing a good job with him. And finally, when he gets to AEW, all of a sudden now he's starting to get that main event push that he's been looking for, and the results show. The results show, and obviously it was one heck of a match.
Yeah,
That's
and big
yeah.
fan favorite in the WWE with Rusev.
Mhm.
So it's nice to see them using him. Maybe not to his full potential yet necessarily, but you're starting to see something with him, which is good. Moving on to the next match, John Moxley. Y'all might remember him as Dean Ambrose if you're not a regular AEW viewer. Faced Satoshi Kojima, which is a New Japan wrestler who I didn't really know a whole lot about, if I'm being honest. Um, But I did enjoy this match. This match had me swerving on the road because I was watching it, trying to drive. Um, both styles very similar. Kojima is obviously much older. I believe he was 50. I heard it earlier today, either 53 or 55, something like that. Um, I thought they put on a great match for that age. We've seen some of these older guys like Goldberg and Triple H and Shawn Michaels try to come back, and it's not to say those guys aren't great because obviously we know they are, but for this match, I thought it was fantastic. We're on CBS Sports here reading the results. They gave it an A-. I would say probably a B+. John Moxley ended up winning. But the big story came after the fact. And hold on. Okay, here we are. All right, so after the match, Minoru geez, these names. I'm not even gonna try it. Anyway, another legend from New Japan came out and confronted Moxley. They're having a match this Wednesday on Dynamite. Um, Basically, two extreme performers here with John Moxley and Suzuki, I want to say is his name. They had a pretty good back and forth. I've always liked Moxley selling, but specifically here, I thought he did a good job. So that'll be a great match for Dynamite Wednesday. But again, John Moxley defeats Kojima here. You got any thoughts on this one?
Oops, yeah, there we go. Anyways, yeah, it was definitely a very hot and intense match. Satoshi Kojima, 50 years old, just getting on with John Moxley. Tries to start off with a handshake, but John Moxley gives him the Stone Cold
Yeah.
and Steve Austin treatment at the first, and they just immediately they go right into a hot and heavy match, and then all of a sudden Minoru Suzuki comes in and hits the ring after to confront Moxley and everything, and which obviously we know they're going to be a match between them coming up on Dynamite here this week. But yeah, it was just hot, heavy, just boom, 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 quick paced match. That definitely deserved that A-. I think I mean the energy factor was there, and that was definitely one of the better matches of the night.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not gonna be able to watch Dynamite live, but I'm definitely recording it, and that will be one match I will for sure, watch after the fact. So the next match, the next match, I should say, the AEW Women's Championship, Dr. Britt Baker versus Kris Statlander. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I saw very little of this match. I just got my food and I was focused on eating. Why? Because I'm fat. And, it is what it is. Dr. Britt Baker ended up winning. If I have anything to say on this, I don't really have a lot in particular with this match, but I think the AEW women's division, and we saw the addition of Ruby Riot, and her new name here is Ruby Soho, or maybe that's her old name that she had before WWE. But they need some additions to this women's roster. And honestly, if I was, oh, what's her name, Rhea Ripley. If I was Ripley, I would jump ship immediately. I don't know what her contract situation is looking like, but I would get over there as soon as possible. She could be the Charlotte Flair of AEW and dominate that division, in my opinion. You got anything on this one?
Heck, why don't they just go and move Charlotte? I mean, Ric Flair got cut, so just let's go and get Rick and Charlotte over there. We'll be really doing good then.
Yeah.
Anyways, Britt Baker versus Kris Statlander. I didn't really see much of this match. Saw little bits and pieces. Definitely seems like they had a decent match. I wouldn't say it's great by any match by any means that is, but overall, I mean, it was a pretty decent match, and you're right, they do need to improve their women's division a little bit, but overall, um, seemed like they got some good action in there, so not really much I can say beyond that.
Yeah, me neither. The next match. This might be one of my favorite matches I've seen. It's hard to say all time because we watch so many matches. But as far as recent memory, this is probably top three. That's the AEW Tag Team Championships on the line. The Young Bucks taking on the Lucha Brothers in a steel cage. This, when I saw this on the match card, this is one I had circled as must see. Like I was on my way home, they started playing the promo video for this match, and I think I sped probably about 15 miles over to get home to watch this on the big screen. And it did not disappoint by any means. This match was incredible. As far as the start, Lucha Brothers entrance, not a big fan of that. They brought out some rapper. I didn't know who it was. But nevertheless, they came out in the mask over the mask stuff that looked really good. I always love what they do there, especially with Penta. He always looks incredible in whatever he's wearing. But I like that. The Young Bucks, typical, come out. Their heels right now. They're taking on a little bit of a different persona. As far as the match itself, and I know I don't want to dive too much into every detail here, but the storytelling in this match could not have been any better. The steel cage element was good because it kept the others from getting in as far as the Young Bucks side and their crew there. So it was good with that. They used the steel cage very well. It could be hard in a tag team match in a steel cage to use your surroundings. I thought they did that great. You did, of course, have some people flying off the top. A Phoenix hit a whatever. I think it was just a splash off the top. Could have went south there, but I thought this match as a whole was great. The storytelling, Cole, is really hard to convince somebody that the match is over. False finishes are not easy to perfect. There was probably about 5 or 6 false finishes in this match that I thought it was over. And every time somebody kicked out, I popped. The big story here, and wrapping up on this one from my end, I forget which buck it was, got the Travis Scott Jordan 1, which, by the way, love Jordan 1s, love that shoe, but thumbtacks on the bottom, and every time I see tacks, I cringe. Tables, chairs, whatever, I don't care, but the thumbtacks, ooh. And there was a spot where one of the Bucks had the shoe on and was gonna kick Phoenix, and sorry, I just blanked on the name. Penta jumps in front of him, older brother trying to sacrifice himself. Take me instead. Great storytelling, and of course they ended up. They both of them ended up getting the boot. But man, just a perfect tag match for being in the steel cage. Perfect storytelling. They didn't go too over the top with spots. It wasn't super spot heavy, but the spots they did were effective. Sold the false finishes. In the end, the Lucha Bros end up taking the tag team championships, much deserved. Perfect timing. That's my thoughts. What did you think about this one?
I don't really have much detail into this. I mean, but I can sum it up like this. It reminded me a lot of, okay, let's say that we're in 1990, we'll say we're in 1998, okay? And except we take, the wrestlers from the 80s and move them to 1998. This reminded me a lot.
We have some breaking news here. As when it comes to the pay-per-view me and you were going to Extreme Rules, the WWE Championship match will be Bobby Lashley versus Randy Orton. So there's that. Anyway,
Ooh,
continue. Sorry to interrupt.
that'll be a decent match, anyways. But what the tag team match reminded me of was like, we'll say it's like a Midnight Express. It reminded me of a Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express scaffold match, Houston, Texas, 1984. Except let's say they were doing this in 1998 in the Attitude Era, kind of with that kind of hardcore-ish, gritty style of match. I mean, there are many tag team matches that I watch that I really like. You know, that's why I have to go back to the '80s to watch all the good tag team
Yeah.
matches from the Crockett era and the Mid South era. But I will say, whoever set this one up, kudos. I guess they must have talked to Arn and Tully, because wow, this was. I mean, for tag team matches, this one definitely for the 2000s was the best. One
Yeah.
of the best. That's a top five for sure.
And then I don't know if you saw this, but after the match, Phoenix was the refs were, you can tell when they're like, okay, we got to move on to the next thing. And Phoenix went up and was walking up the entrance ramp to go ahead and leave. Um and Penta was still in the ring waving for somebody to come in the ring, and they were like kicking him out. And turns out it was his kids he was waving in, which great. I mean, obviously, yes, they should have just chilled and let him do that. It's great for TV, if anything. But my gosh, their dad is covered in blood, and he's giving them hugs and kisses, and these poor kids are walking away with their father's blood on their face. My goodness. Like, I get, yes, it's a nice moment and all, but man, them poor kids, they had to watch their dad go through all that and then have his blood on their face. I mean, some people were laughing at that. I think it's funny, but at the same time, man, them poor kids. But anyway, so the next match, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't watch because I didn't care. And that was the Casino Battle Royal. Obviously, the story from this match, Ruby
Yeah.
Soho, also known as Ruby Riot, went ahead and won this here. So she's going to get a shot at the championship, I guess. So you got anything on this?
Why do they go from a wildly hot match, just action packed? I mean, rock and roll versus midnight level match, to just. They go from that to the Casino Battle Royal. A battle royal? Are you serious? A battle royal. I mean, I get you need to do something with Ruby Riot, but come on. Why do you? I mean, all you needed was just a little simple match. I mean, that could have been another women's match for all we know. I mean, they need another one of that. But really a casino battle royal. I know where they got that idea from. WrestleMania 37. Okay, but come on. Next.
All right. Next. Next was MJF versus Chris Jericho, of course, with the stipulation that if Jericho loses, he is no longer able to wrestle in AEW again. MJF came out first, and I should have known this was coming because it is MJF. But he comes out to the countdown Jericho WWF style entrance. And as soon as I thought it was going to go into Judas from Fozzy, instead it says Jericho's last match. Lights come up and turns to MJF's entrance. Great job. Great as he on the business. The fact I'm actually upset with myself that I got fooled by that, because I think that you should have saw that coming. But I'm an idiot. Whatever. MJF comes out, great looking robe. Apparently, he's been hanging out with Flair backstage. And then Jericho comes out, and Fozzy's, I'm assuming, lead guitarist, attempted to do the Judas, and yeah, it didn't go exactly as they hoped. The crowd was trying to sing along, but it just it could have been a lot better. I would have almost rather him come out to just the crowd singing, as he's done a few times now. But regardless, the match was good. I thought it started off a little bit slow for my liking, but I thought it went pretty good. MJF focused on Jericho's arm, setting up for things later. There was a spot in the match where MJF landed on his lower back, or he injured his lower back, whatever. Sold that to perfection. And as we know now, that set up great for the final result of Jericho winning with the Walls of Jericho. Match was good as a whole. The ending, though, MJF pinned Jericho, but his foot was on the rope. The ref didn't see it. But there was some interference a little bit earlier by Wardlow, and Jake Hager came out to stop it. But this was interesting quality booking here by whoever this was, Tony Khan, whoever, I don't care. The reason why another ref came out was to stop that interference. So there was already another ref there, and he was the one who had seen the foot on the rope, ended up restarting the match. Great storytelling, because I thought, you know what? Jericho is older. They might end it, but it was a good swerve in the sense that, some people thought MJF was going to get away with it. You had a legitimate reason for another ref to be out there. All made sense. Jericho wins with the Walls of Jericho, defeats MJF. What did you think about this?
I agree with you. The whole entrance was just puzzling but very interesting, with MJF using the old WWF style of Jericho's entrance, and Jericho kind of botching his own entrance. But okay. If there's one thing I definitely want to say, was that I think Cody Rhodes was booking this. Because I could definitely see a lot of Dusty style booking in this match. I mean, if you watch a lot of 80s wrestling and stuff, Jim Crockett Promotions, when Dusty was a booker and everything, and you watch when you watch the MGF versus Chris Jericho match, you'll see a lot of similarities. So I think this was a Cody Rhodes booking match, because I mean, I saw a lot of Dusty swerves, Dusty finishes, stuff like that. I mean, and it was interesting. I mean, it was nice to see a lot of Dusty Rhodes inspired booking and storytelling within this match. I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and CBS graded this match a B-. I would give it a B at least. But it's interesting you say that, because they list this here as, quote, a Dusty finish. So good by you there, recognizing that. CBS goes ahead and lists that there. Good, effective. They say not the best match on the show, but a good enough showing for both men. An effective use of the classic pro wrestling Dusty finish. So good by you there on that one. I agree with what you said there. The next one, CM Punk versus Darby Allin. And we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off in the last podcast, because we have not yet talked about CM Punk's debut. So we'll talk about that first, and then we'll get into this match. I'll let you go ahead and start off here. What did you think about Punk's debut?
Man, that was hot. That was exactly what we were thinking was going to happen. It happened. But not only that, but just the level of intensity, just the crowd singing to his song and everything. It was absolutely electrifying.
It was, oh man, getting chills just thinking about it.
I know it was that good, and he cut a short, sweet promo. It was perfect. And then the whole thing, I don't exactly agree with the whole picking Darby Allin, but honestly though, that's a good thing, because it gives Darby Allin some experience, and then plus Darby's working with Sting and everything. Oh yeah. They did. I mean, if there's one thing they did not screw up, was definitely they did not screw up CM Punk, for sure.
Definitely. And I'm not ashamed. I told you, I texted you immediately after. That's the first time I've ever cried tears of joy in a long time. And it was just because we knew it could happen. Everybody says, "Oh, we knew it was going to happen." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're lying to yourself, because there's been many times over the last how many years? He's been gone for 7 years, and for 7 years, everybody said CM Punk's backstage. CM Punk's at Royal Rumble. He was seen in Vegas at SummerSlam or whatever. Just all these things, and it was like, man, it's in Chicago. Everybody's saying he's going to be there. They could not have done that any better. I agree with what you said there. But they had to kick off the show. They had to, because the whole night would have been just CM Punk chants. And man, what'd they do? They started off and they said the biggest announcement in AEW history or whatever. And that was a giveaway. That to me was like, oh my gosh, it's happening, because there's no way that they're gonna bring somebody else out for this. Like, there's just no way. And we talked about it. If he didn't, that place was getting burnt to the ground. And CM Punk, a different start to Cult of Personality. Obviously, they couldn't use the same static, but it is static. And then Cult of Personality hit, and I just lost it. I could not believe that, what we were seeing was real. And what really made me like tears come out was when he sat down on the ramp on his knees, right before he says it's clobbering time. And just to see him soak in 7 years of just, love and appreciation for him and his career and what all he's done, for him. Because I was a little bit worried, because of some of his interviews that he's done, that he was just gonna come back and just, I don't want to say go through the motions, because he's better than that, but it wouldn't have surprised me, just because of some of the things he said. And for him, what a reaction. I think that could not have been any better. He jumped in the crowd, that was insane. The promo itself, fantastic. I thought, like you said, kind of short and sweet, to the point, but it got across everything it needed to. I was able to buy one of those shirts. It still hasn't come yet, which is a bit annoying. But he crashed the website for literally like a day and a half. And I was one of the few who got in and was able to buy one pretty quick. But yeah, the whole thing of I haven't been in pro wrestling in, what did he say, 15 years or whatever. And he was referencing Ring of Honor. He was saying WWE's not professional wrestling. And I thought, because it would have been bad of him just to come out and say, F WWE and all this. He did it perfectly. And I couldn't have been any happier with that. And man, was that needed. So and then I guess we can just go ahead and say he did come out, do a couple promos leading up to All Out. There was an altercation where he was attacked. I forget by who. Then Darby and Sting come out, and then there's the face-to-face, whatever. I thought everything was good in the lead up, other than I think they did kind of the same promo twice, and that's just nitpicking. I'm not complaining. Anytime I get to see CM Punk in professional wrestling, I'm not complaining. But I thought it was good. Anything on that before we get into the match here?
I mean, it was definitely a good match for all. I mean, for what it was worth. That's really, I mean, I didn't get to see too much of it, unfortunately. So that's pretty much all I got. I mean, for the parts I did see, it was definitely pretty good.
All right, so we'll get into it here, dive in a little bit more. So the crowd was obviously hot, which we knew, but I loved Darby's paint job he had. And this is a big moment for him, man. I mean, the world is watching this match. And I think from his side of things, I think he performed very well. I liked the pairing of these two because, Punk said if he was a kid now, Darby would be his favorite wrestler, whatever, because, there are a few similarities with their characters in a way, just because of the whole, like, they're not the main guy. Punk was never picked to be the main guy. It's kind of that with Darby. He's had to really do a lot. Um, but yeah, so Punk came out in tights. What'd you think about the tights instead of trunks?
Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and roll right into the next match. I believe we had Paul Wight versus QT Marshall.
Hey, did you hear what I said? No.
I didn't hear that part. No.
I said
for a second.
Punk came out in his tights. What'd you think about the tights versus his trunks?
Oh. Oh yeah, that was one. Oh, thank you for reminding me on that. Yeah. That was definitely a very interesting little twist right there, I'd have to say.
Did you like him or no?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I thought that was definitely an interesting twist. It was good.
Yeah, I thought they weren't bad, but I would have rather him came out in his Money in the Bank 2011 style of attire, I should say. But it's just nitpicking. As far as the match itself, started off a little bit slow back and forth, but that's good because they needed to get Punk used to doing this again. There was a couple really good spots. Darby got his stuff in, Punk got his stuff in. Punk hit a GTS and Darby went out of the ring, and I thought that was great. Just from the kind of building on the ring rust style of things. I like that. Darby went for the coffin drop. Punk sat up. I thought that was perfect. In the end, CM Punk wins. No shock. Right decision. I think he put over Darby in defeat, and that's what he needed to do. So, overall, I think, CBS gives the grade of the match as a whole a B plus, and it didn't need to be an A plus match. It just needed to be good, get the hits in, and I thought that's what it was. So I liked it. But
yeah, absolutely. It was. I mean, definitely for like a first match between CM Punk coming back at Darby Allin. I mean, you don't want to come out with just giving an A plus match because then that's the kind of bar you have to set it at for future matches. So they did a good job, kind of giving like a B level match. So that way they have room to grow and build the story.
Yeah. All right, you want to get into the next one?
Anyways, aside from my snafu because I picked up a little phone call real quick that I answer, now let's get to the next match. Paul Wight versus QT Marshall. Here we go.
Interesting match to say the least.
I was like, I mean, I want to say David versus Goliath, but I mean, but minus all that, I mean, Hogan versus Andre the Giant?
I think not.
No, this is no. This was like Hornswoggle versus Big Show. Well, Paul Wight, but I mean, it's like Hornswoggle was wrestling. Come on, man.
Goodness interesting take on a squash match. I think it was. I don't want to say it was terrible, but a 3-minute match felt like 10 minutes. Big Show, well, Paul Wight, whatever, just looked not even remotely ring ready. He was walking weird, he just did not look great, which understandable. He's been doing this forever. But in the end, he wins with a choke slam. So, anything else on this thrilling match?
Ah, come on. It was, I mean, next.
All right, this is where things turn. Well, I guess this isn't where things turn interesting. The AEW World Championship match. Kenny Olivier, as Cornette calls him, your AEW champion versus Christian Cage. Um, the story is obviously the stuff after the match. Christian was never winning this, and I think that's the frustrating thing. This was supposed to be Hangman Page, but I believe he had a kid, or his wife rather. So he's getting time off. So they did the best they could, I guess. I wasn't really into it too much. Found myself on Twitter every once in a while in this match. But Kenny Omega ends up winning. There was a spot where Christian went through a table and the table leg caught his rib area, and that just did not look good at all for him. You could tell that was actually painful. He was hurting pretty bad. That was not selling. Well, it was probably selling with a little bit of real pain there. But before we get into these debuts, which is the real story here of All Out, you got anything on the match in particular?
Let's see. Yeah, I believe we got Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang, as Jim Cornette likes to say, versus Christian Cage. Um, you know, definitely looked like a very good, definitely decent match. I would say great by any means, but there was a lot of action going on. It was definitely a good, simple match. Nothing to really get all just to get all hyped about, but overall, I mean, it was just a good, just decent match in general. And I'm not gonna say great, or I'm not gonna say terrible. It definitely was better than the one before that, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, me and you
By
could have put
far.
on a better match.
Really.
Anyway, so this is the stories right here. Kenny Megan, the Elite, attacked Christian after the match. Jurassic Express came out and attempted to make the save. They went ahead and beat them up, and all of a sudden, Kenny Omega takes the microphone, starts saying some stuff. Says no one can beat him, or the ones who can are dead. Whatever he said, I don't remember. The lights go out, and I'm expecting Daniel Bryan, and whose music hits? Adam Cole, baby. This popped me because I was expecting Daniel Bryan. I was not expecting Adam Cole. I loved this debut for Adam Cole. First of all, his music is great. AEW does not have the greatest music, in my opinion. Not that WWE does either, but this was like a spin on his NXT music, and I loved it. This swerve popped me hard. And then Adam Cole comes out as if he is a baby face, and he super kicks Jungle Boy, joins the Elite, saying, nobody can beat us now. We're the greatest faction. And then music hits. Daniel Bryan, now known as Bryan Danielson, comes out. And you talk about a double swerve, man. I thought there was no way they're going to have two back-to-back debuts like this. But man, incredible. He comes down to the ring, beats everybody. So at the end of the day, went off the air with Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, and Bryan Danielson together. So maybe we'll see this faction clash here soon. What do you think about these debuts here?
Oh man, wow. They for doing a back to back like that. That was a pretty good job. I must admit.
They got me.
Yeah, they Yeah. So they finish the match, and then Jurassic Express all of a sudden comes in and everything, and they Omega and the Elite, they go to attacking Cage. Next thing we know, Adam Cole comes in, and everybody's like, "What? Oh, whoa!" And then they go into the big, big brawl in the ring and everything. And then right when the dust settles, when you thought it was all over, boom, Bryan Danielson shows up, and that's like dessert after a 5-star meal, man. Can't beat that.
Definitely. That's honestly, that's a great way of putting it because, nobody thought, I mean, people thought Adam Cole could come. He was just on NXT like last week. So I thought, well, there's no way he's going to show up for a while. And then, everybody's expecting, Bryan Danielson. And then Adam Cole comes out and everybody was like, oh, crap. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, there's no way they're going to bring him, have 2 debuts. And then all of a sudden it happens. Man, that was talk about a double shock. That was incredibly done there by AEW.
Yeah, I mean, when you say that Adam Cole, that almost reminds me what Rick Rude did in '97, almost showing up at 2 places at the same time.
Crazy.
That was awesome.
Craziness. So yeah, as a whole, I would give this pay-per-view a 4.5 just because, not every match was great, obviously, but I think, the Miro match was all right. I thought Punk and Darby went about as good as it should have went. Obviously a lot of nostalgia there with Punk. The match of the night by far, the tag team match. um and then you had some of the bad ones, with Paul Wight and QT, and the championship match was good for what it was. But as a whole, when you count in the great matches with the returns, I'd give it a 4.5. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, definitely a 4.5. I'm on board with you on that for sure.
Perfect. All righty, so that wraps up our all out review there. Well, I guess I'll leave it up to you. What do you want to go ahead and
There
get
was
into next?
there was one more thing I want to discuss before we wrap it up. So I saw a little article, and as we come to find out, and this ties into AEW, Jim Ross has decided to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, I
So,
noticed that. He was his first time back in a while was for the Punk debut.
yeah, well, what he decided, because I think it just, I don't think it's as much the pressure from everybody, when Jim Ross, botched a couple things on the mic, like what was it, about a month ago, and
Yeah.
everything. I think, just coming under pressure. I don't think it's much pressure, but he just, he's just annoyed by the whole thing. So he just decided, well, I'm getting older, I'm slowing down, and my voice isn't as crystal clear as it used to be. So I think
Yeah,
it's time.
I definitely think they should use him as a special attraction announcer.
Yeah, I agree. Him and Shivani. Save those two for the pay-per-views and everything, and leave, like, Taz and Taz too. And let like Excalibur and those guys be the main voice on the wrestling shows. Kind of like what they do with Michael Cole. They don't bring Michael Cole out that much. They let the other junior announcers do everything, and then for the big pay-per-views they have Michael Cole out a lot. I think that'd be a good idea for, like, save JR, Shivani, and Taz for the pay-per-views.
Well, and even because now Michael Cole's on SmackDown weekly, but
Mhm.
they don't, well, how should I say this? They use him as a big time announcer, but they use McAfee in a perfect way as that, where he takes up a big portion of it, like he does the not the play by play, but he does the more commentary stuff. And that makes Michael Cole feel a little bit different because everybody hated Michael Cole before, and now everybody's like, oh, okay, like this is a good pairing. They work well together. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there on Jim Ross and his new role, I guess you want to say. Um, Anything else you wanted to go ahead and hit here?
I think we covered everything that we could hit, really.
All righty. Well, I guess that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Like I said, me and Cole will be attending Extreme Rules in Columbus, Ohio at Nationwide Arena. So we'll probably have another one of these out before then. But our schedules are crazy, so we'll work it out. But nevertheless, you'll have an in-person take on Extreme Rules. So y'all got that to look forward to. Going to be an interesting week. Dynamite got a big match. Cincinnati, Ohio. Moxley comes home. Big match. So I think that's it for me. Anything else you want to say?
Have nothing else.
Alrighty. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching or listening, however you check us out here. Please be sure to give us your thoughts, like, comment, let us know. And if you enjoy the entire channel, we talk about a lot of different things over here. Be sure to subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, guys, we will see you in the next one. Have a good night.